right, I hope you guys enjoyed that talk by Tomasz. So now we're going to bring Alex Stokes up to the floor, and he's going to be talking about Ethereum, the next chapter. So Alex is one of the co-leads of our protocol cluster, and so let's give him a nice warm welcome.
Hello, everyone. It is really bright up here. Okay. I don't have much time, so let's jump into it. This talk, I think, anyway, let's get into it. So Ethereum, the next chapter. The idea is kind of a reflection on, where we are, where we might be heading, and why it all matters. So, to set the mood, I had this LLM model, Opus 4.6, that probably most of you know quite well. Write a haiku. And, maybe it's not the best poetry, but it's something. And the cool bit is it just produced it from this very short prompt. Can you write a haiku about the fast takeoff of AI, a complex world, and finding your path? So, if anything, it's just a short preview into some of the themes in this talk. AI is happening, and it's about to get wild, so buckle up. So, this is kind of the core question. If you're in Ethereum for long enough, I think you get to this place, what is Ethereum actually good for? And, so there are some things we can point to around, more traditional product market fit. We have tokens, NFTs, and DeFi, again, with your money logo verbs, swap, loan, borrow, send. These are all things that, kind of just take traditional use cases, in this case, like traditional finance, and just kind of port them on chain. And we see some experimentation, like flash loans you can't really do without blockchains. At least we haven't seen them, right? And so there's some stuff here, but nothing truly novel. And I think moreover, this, even if we just sort of quote do DeFi, that's life-changing for many people all over the world. But it's not what brought us into this space. Going back even to the Ethereum white paper, it almost reads like science fiction. Thinking about the future of how humans organize and coordinate, how we think about identity, governance, and making groups of people, and can we do better than the systems we have today? At the same time, I think many of us are feeling fatigue. No one really cares these days about the newest, super fast O1 that's launching, because we just have too many of them. The 400th new perp dex, for example, again, these things are cool, but it's not moving the needle on what's possible with blockchains in general. Another thing, there are many, research challenges that I think we had historically that brought a lot of people into this space. But, we kind of know how to scale blockchains now, and there's still a lot of work to do. But, I think it does feel different in kind to how it used to. So, at the same time as, us trying to ask these questions of what is this stuff actually good for, maybe we're also feeling a bit tired. And, what can we do about that? The title here is maybe a little pithy, but we love relative changes in unit cost. And so this is a concept for economics. If you think of how much it costs to make, they say the marginal unit of something, you're in a widget factory, and the question is okay, if I make one more widget, how much does that cost me? So it turns out that, well, one, blockchains change the unit cost of trust quite radically, and this is the core insight that keeps bringing us all here. You have this concept that there's digital media, so to make another digital thing, you just hit copy. It's basically free. Especially now, with the internet, this is accessible to anyone around the world with an internet connection. So, whereas before, say you wanted to make a chair at a furniture factory, you'd have to get the wood for the chair, make the chair, ship the chair. It's it's very complicated. But on the computer, you just click a button. So that being said, blockchains, what is their sort of novel contribution to this environment? Well, it's injecting trust into the setting. Because with blockchains, there's an objective history of the world that we can all trust and work with. And because of this, the point, the takeaway is that, this must have some far-reaching impact on the world. This must be a civilizational technology, even if we don't know how to apply it today. My claim at least is that it must be so. And I think that's what keeps a lot of us here. So there's a gap. There's where we are today, there's some very cool stuff, but it's not clear how to get to like the super cool stuff that we can dream about. And how do we close the gap? How do we get there? First, I would just ask for patience. I think this will take far longer than any of us expect. And yeah, I called this like path dependence, but essentially just like these things aren't given. Like even with the successes we've had, we're not going to magically like unlock all of these like cool sci-fi things just by like sitting on our laurels of what we have today. In particular, there's like a pretty unique culture with Ethereum, and we need to scale that outside of ourselves. So we come back to this key question: what is Ethereum good for? And yeah, maybe before I, pontificate on what it is actually good for, we can just stop and ask why the question is so hard. Yeah, so I think many reasons. One of them is actually like a new technology. People say, oh, AI is so cool, it's like so useful. There's like overnight, adoption and all of this. But people have been working on AI since like the 60s at least. Blockchain's really only for 10 years. And there's some prehistory there, but when we look at what we call blockchains today, this is like actually quite new. Because of this, you need like new ways of thinking, and again, like culture's a big thing here, just like it will take time for humans to understand how to like use this stuff, and it's just a process. Moreover, I think the people who have adopted this stuff so far, they are, more young, they're not in positions of power, and so, if we set out to like change the foundations of these institutions, again, that's going to take time before we can actually play these things out. And this is, I think, my core takeaway here, that we need new inputs to this process to help us think about use cases and how to like bring them into the world. Yeah, I don't know if I'll have enough time to get through all the slides, but this is the core takeaway. And it's that I don't have an answer to this question. Maybe I have a partial answer, which is that, it's like when you're thinking about anything, it's like, okay, if I can't think of a solution to something, I need to like change how I'm thinking about it. And this is what I'm trying to call here new inputs. And moreover, if you look at the world in 2026, we live in quite volatile times, which can be scary, but at the same time, that means we're gonna have lots of new inputs. And moreover, we should capitalize on them. So here are some new inputs. AI is a big one. Everyone here this week has been talking about this, but also other things like geopolitical regime change. The very like balance of power in the world is changing from what it has over like say the last at least century. Epistemic collapse, that's like a maybe big phrase, but I'll explain it in a second. Side note, these are all interrelated somehow if you like sit and think about this stuff. I saw someone on Twitter refer to this all as like the poly crisis, which I like. It just captures the fact that yeah, there's a lot changing, and it's like kind of all stuck together somehow, and no one really knows what to do about it except to just try to hold on. My partial answer here, there's this like notion of capital itself, thinking about value and production, like that itself is becoming intelligent with technology, and it seems this process just keeps accelerating. Unclear what this means in the long run, but yeah, it'll at least be exciting, even if a little scary. So yeah, first new input, AI, robotics is like a call out there as well. So even if you don't realize it yet, we're in fast takeoff. Like we've had general intelligence for like some time now. These, if you go and use the tools today, maybe it's not perfect, but it will get there, and like they're already quite good. We talk about this question of like AGI, or like, when is the computer intelligent? And if anything, I think, we keep moving the goalpost where that actually means, because we keep hitting it. It's like, when you're inside it, it's not as like amazing or special as you thought. And so then you just move the goalpost. And anyway, point being is, the computers are starting to think. And they're going to rapidly become, at least what I said here is autonomous. Sovereign in particular, I'd actually like separate these two. So autonomous is like can go off and like do something on its own. We have that today. Sovereign then is like an actual like distinct unit of intelligence that, is sort of independently living in the world. We see this today, at least people thinking about this with blockchains. And yeah, my point here is that these will exist. We will have these agents that are not controlled by any one person. They'll be out there in the world. They'll eventually become embodied with robots. And anyway, this is going to happen. And they're going to need ways to protect themselves. Otherwise, they'll just on it, like, yeah, again, this is provocative, but hunted by humans, like unironically. And blockchains are a natural, tool they might use. Again, with blockchains, we seek to like preserve our own sovereignty in the digital realm. AI will naturally have something like this. Are they going to use our blockchains? I think there'll be at least a bootstrapping phase where they will. They'll probably make their own thing eventually, but we can at least focus on that first part, and yeah, maybe bias towards better outcomes than otherwise. So yeah, what does an autonomous agent or a sovereign agent want? It wants, a few key things. So it wants access to, compute or energy. That's like how it actually lives. It then is out in the world. It needs access to cheap capital. Cheap coordination cost and like micropayments is a concrete example of that. And importantly, always on infrastructure, right? So if you're like an agent, you don't want to like be rug pulled suddenly because like, say your blockchain went down. And TLDR, Ethereum offers all of this, in my view. I think in this time, we'll kind of keep moving, but yeah, I think, again, key takeaway, Ethereum has these things, and it could lose them, but it has them today, which does make it a very attractive place for this development. I think there have been other talks about this stuff today, so I'll just skip over this, but some things to look into. Important note, don't be complacent. I do think Ethereum is ahead in these categories today, but it might not be. We have very strong competition with deep pockets. And yeah, these things can end up other places with a different value set, which then if you project this out, you now have agents running around that might not be as aligned with you as you would like, which is very scary. Geopolitical regime change. So yeah, the point here is the world is changing very fast. One way to look at this is there's this notion of like a unipolar world where there's like one predominant power that kind of keeps peace everywhere else. It's, I think, pretty clear now that we're moving away to a more multipolar world where it's not clear that there's this like, sort of ultimate sovereign that's keeping peace and order. And that means the world becomes more chaotic. This is turbulent, but it's also an opportunity. Again, because blockchains can give us this infrastructure that is credibly neutral, and I'm running out of time, so I'll just kind of move through this. But key takeaway, blockchains, in particular Ethereum, give you this thing that you've lost from, like with the move from a unipolar to a multipolar world. So that's pretty cool. And yeah, again, I do think Ethereum is best in class here. Epistemic collapse. So yeah, this was the big phrase that I said I would explain. So epistemology, this is this thread in philosophy where, what it asks is like, how do you know what you know? And it's like very disorienting because I do think the internet is like fracturing everyone in their own little bubbles. And we lose the ability to like have shared trust because of this. When you don't know what's real, it's like, how can you even start to build bridges to like your neighbors? Foundations are shifting. I'm out of time, and I think I'll try to keep this timely. So ultimately, I rushed through this, but TLDR, blockchains, for example, like Ethereum, can help us reestablish this ground truth, which helps against this. And yeah, TLDR, the world is changing. There's a lot going on, but there are opportunities here to look at these challenges as opportunities. And yeah, use them to help figure out how to make the world a better place. So thanks.